In today's algorithm-driven landscape, hedge funds are engaging in a strategic dance with volatility. When these funds sell sufficient volatility, it can lead to market makers becoming net short on VIX puts, causing the fear gauge to dip below 18.5. This decline triggers mechanical stock buying, and when it falls below 15, the buying intensifies significantly. We find ourselves on the precipice of this next phase of earnest buying, buoyed by expectations of a December rate cut. The essence of this movement is not merely in the rally itself, but in the remarkable collapse of volatility that facilitates these gains. The focus isn't only on the rally itself, but also on the significant reduction in volatility facilitating this rise. Lower volatility typically indicates a stable environment where equities have room to grow. Some experts debate the reasons behind this decline in volatility, but the simplest explanation points to market sentiment. There's a broadly favorable view of the current regime shift. With election-related uncertainties easing, sidelined funds are returning, fueling a strong positive feedback loop in the market. What wisdom can we draw from the ancient texts to understand modern mathematical concepts? I shall illuminate how the ancient wisdom of the East harmoniously interweaves with the mathematical precision of covariance groups, much like the delicate balance described in Sun Tzu's Art of War. Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. Mathematics, a universal language, ancient wisdom, timeless insights. At first glance, these two realms might seem worlds apart. Yet a closer look reveals surprising connections. How do the principles of covariant groups manifest in our daily interactions? Just as Sun Tzu teaches us that supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting, the concept of covariant groups in mathematics demonstrates how certain transformations preserve essential structures. In human terms, this translates to maintaining harmonious relationships across varying contexts, a principle deeply embedded in both Yi-Jing and modern organizational theory. Today I shall illuminate how the ancient wisdom of the East harmoniously interweaves with the mathematical precision of covariance groups, much like the delicate balance described in Sun Tzu's Art of War. Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. What wisdom does the ancient Book of Changes hold for our understanding of modern transformations? I must note that the current situation remarkably aligns with Hexagram 19, de Zélin, approaching, which speaks of great forces coming together, much like the convergence of mathematical group theory and human relationships in our modern world. The recent American political landscape, particularly regarding Trump's victory, reflects the Yi-Jing principle of cyclical change. Like the mathematical concept of invariant transformations, certain fundamental patterns persist despite surface-level changes. The hexagram suggests a period of approach and contemplation, warning against hasty actions. What parallels can we draw between mathematical invariance and political dynamics? In the digital age, data reigns supreme. We collect, analyze, and manipulate vast amounts of information. Covariance groups play a crucial role in this landscape, acting as guardians of data integrity. They ensure that essential characteristics remain intact during processes like compression and encryption. This echoes the Yi-Jing's concept of Wu Ji Bi Fan. Extremes inevitably give rise to their opposites. Just as ancient philosophers sought balance and harmony, covariance groups preserve stability in the face of transformation. What parallels exist between statistical covariance and ancient Chinese philosophy? In the elegant realm of linear algebra, covariance groups emerge as guardians of a fundamental concept, the inner product. Imagine the inner product as a mathematical handshake, a measure of how much two vectors align or agree with each other. It's through this handshake that we can determine angles between vectors and even their lengths. Covariance groups come into play by ensuring that no matter how we transform our vectors, rotating, reflecting, or scaling them, the essence of their handshake, their inner product, remains untouched. These transformations, much like the flowing movements of Tai Chi, preserve the underlying harmony within the vector space. How do transformations preserve the essence of mathematical structures? In the realm of mathematics, covariance groups represent transformations that preserve certain structural properties, much like how the Yi-Jing hexagram, De Tian Tai, teaches us about perfect balance and harmony. These transformations, particularly in linear algebra, maintain the inner product of vector spaces unchanged, reflecting the ancient wisdom, as above, so below, Rushang, Rushishia. Think of vectors as dancers gracefully moving within a multi-dimensional ballroom. Each dance move represents a transformation, and just like a skilled choreographer ensures the dancers' relative positions remain harmonious, covariance groups guarantee that certain relationships between vectors stay constant. For instance, imagine two vectors initially perpendicular to each other, forming a perfect right angle. A covariance group transformation might rotate or reflect these vectors, but their perpendicularity, their right-angled relationship, will remain inviolate. This principle extends to more complex relationships as well, ensuring that the essence of their interaction remains consistent. How does modern data manipulation reflect ancient principles of change? In the digital realm, covariance groups serve as guardians of data integrity, preserving essential characteristics during compression and encryption. This mirrors the Yi-Jing's concept of Wu-Ji-Bi-Fan. When things reach their extreme, they inevitably reverse course. While the concept of covariance groups might appear abstract, its applications are far-reaching and tangible. Consider a simple example: rotating a square. No matter how we rotate it, the square retains its essential shape. The lengths of its sides and its right angles remain unchanged. This preservation of shape exemplifies a covariance group in action. Stepping away from the elegant determinism of linear algebra, we enter the fascinating world of statistics, where randomness reigns supreme. Here, instead of dealing with fixed vectors, we encounter random variables, those unpredictable entities that govern the outcomes of coin tosses, stock prices, or even the weather. Yet even amidst this apparent chaos, covariance groups emerge as beacons of structure, revealing hidden relationships between these capricious variables. In statistics, covariance acts as a measure of how two random variables dance together. What parallels exist between statistical covariance and ancient Chinese philosophy? This preservation of covariance structures under transformation finds a striking parallel in the ancient Chinese concept of gan-ying, or mutual resonance, as described in the Yi-Jing. Just as a vibrating tuning fork can induce sympathetic vibrations in another, seemingly unconnected, fork tuned to the same frequency, so too can events or phenomena influence each other even across vast distances or seemingly unrelated domains. In the realm of data analysis, covariance groups embody this principle of mutual resonance. Transformations, while altering the individual values of our variables, preserve the underlying harmony of their relationships, revealing a deeper interconnectedness within the data. This echoes the Yi-Jing's message that seemingly disparate elements are often linked by invisible threads, their fates intertwined in a complex web of interdependence. How can we apply mathematical principles to human interactions? The most fascinating application of covariance group theory lies in human relationships, where certain behavioral patterns maintain social stability across diverse contexts. As the Yi-Jing teaches through the hexagram, Shan Shui Meng, wisdom comes through patience and proper guidance. The symmetries we observe in mathematical covariance groups find their echo in the delicate balance of human interactions. Consider the following wisdom from the Art of War. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you need not fear the result of 100 battles. This principle perfectly aligns with our understanding of social covariance groups, where successful relationship strategies remain invariant across different social contexts. Just as a skilled conductor guides an orchestra, ensuring each instrument contributes to the overall harmony, covariance groups act as guardians of balance within our data. They dictate permissible transformations, respecting relationships between variables without distorting its message. For example, switching stock prices from dollars to euros or adjusting for inflation. The relationships remain intact, allowing meaningful comparisons and conclusions. In the Yi-Jing, the hexagram Wei Ji before completion speaks to moments of uncertainty just before a major shift, where actions taken now will shape a future that teeters on the edge of stability or disruption. Much like this time of pivotal change in the US political sphere, where Donald Trump's election victory prompts both possibility and caution. The lessons of Wei Ji remind us that swift action and careful restraint are equally vital, for both can alter the outcome dramatically. So how might we approach this unfolding political landscape? Through both modern economic understanding and ancient philosophical insight. A second Trump administration brings the potential of aggressive fiscal expansion, with proposals for extended tax cuts and increased government spending. Such measures intended to stimulate economic growth reflect a sword that cuts both ways. What does growth mean when balanced with risk? Yes, they may enhance short-term economic activity, but how long before the weight of unchecked fiscal stimulus strains the stability of the economy itself? Trump's likely pressure on the Federal Reserve to reduce interest rates further, combined with his advocacy for deregulation, creates a delicate scenario where quick gains could jeopardize long-term balance. In the realm of trade, Trump's proposals for sweeping tariffs, 10% on all imports and up to 60% on goods from China, are akin to igniting a controlled fire that risks spiraling out of control. How does one maintain balance in the face of conflict? The Art of War reminds us that to subdue the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. Here, however, such aggressive trade measures could ignite further international tensions, especially with key players like China. This heightened tension may lead to an increase in credit premiums, particularly impacting emerging markets already exposed to global risks. Moreover, a reduction or cessation of support for Ukraine and other allied commitments could further destabilize the geopolitical landscape. In alignment with the caution of Wei Ji, is it wise to withdraw one's shield when the arrows still fly? The impact on alliances is not merely economic, but woven into the fabric of global stability. On the domestic front, Trump's reflationary stance may require the Federal Reserve to counterbalance with tighter monetary policies, pushing interest rates higher. While such policies might buoy the economy in the short term, they also risk creating financial system instability. When should stability demand restraint? The Yi-Jing teaches that only in calmness can one proceed forward with clarity, a principle that warns against hasty inflation-driven fiscal expansion without sufficient regard for its longer-term effects on economic volatility. The Federal Reserve's independence could also be at risk under renewed Trump pressures for regulatory rollback, which may undermine systemic safeguards. Are we prepared to rush forward when the path remains so unclear? For the United States credit outlook, Trump's expansive fiscal proposals pose challenges to fiscal health, potentially adding between USD 4.1 trillion and USD 5.8 trillion to the national deficit. Even with Republican control of Congress, legislative gridlock on the debt ceiling is likely, casting uncertainty over fiscal stability. A protracted debate on debt could shake investor confidence and strain the US's sovereign credit rating. What becomes of a house built without pillars of support? In the tradition of the Yi-Jing, foundations are as critical as the structure above. Expanding the deficit without building fiscal strength could ultimately erode the creditworthiness that underpins economic stability. The question here is stark. Can a nation sustain a burden of growth without the infrastructure to hold it? The second Trump term raises concerns over institutional integrity, with potential challenges to judicial independence, the rule of law, and Federal Reserve autonomy. Such shifts are significant. They don't merely alter policies, they erode the bedrock of democratic norms. How does a kingdom sustain itself when its core weakens? In the Yi-Jing, the lesson of Wei Ji warns us to guard what is within, a principle that highlights the importance of preserving foundational institutions. Further, the dollar's reserve currency status, a cornerstone of the global financial system, may weaken under policies that encourage other nations to seek alternatives. As ancient wisdom would caution, what value does power hold if it loses its grip on its own sovereignty? This exploration of a potential second Trump administration under the lens of Wei Ji before completion serves as a reminder that times of profound change require wisdom and patience. Each decision, like each step before crossing a river, carries consequences not only for the present, but also for the structure of the future. The teachings of the Yi-Jing Art of War advise us to approach the brink with both ambition and prudence, balancing growth with foresight and action with restraint. In these times where political forces shape economic realities, the questions we ask and the care we take in answering them will set the course forward, bridging the unknown towards stability or strife. What role does Federal Reserve policy play in this environment? The Federal Reserve's recent communications have been clear: disinflation is taking root, and the era of elevated interest rates is coming to an end. Chairman Powell has skillfully avoided making predictions about inflation risks associated with potential Republican policies, adhering closely to established guidelines. However, the looming Trump effect introduces a duality of potential growth alongside renewed inflation pressures. This delicate balance could ultimately influence the Fed's approach to rate cuts in the future. Symmetry in mathematics is a concept that denotes balance and harmony, where transformations leave certain properties unchanged. Similarly, in social dynamics, harmonious interactions often exhibit a form of symmetry where the underlying principles of respect, understanding, and reciprocity remain constant despite changes in context or circumstances. What implications arise from potential tax cuts and deregulation? Looking beyond January 20th, 2025, the possibility of corporate tax reductions and deregulation aligns with what many perceive as an inviting setting for a bull market. The expectation of business-friendly policies creates a supportive environment for growth-oriented investors. This potential shift offers investors the opportunity to engage with the market in a context that values both ambition and caution. In these evolving conditions, strategic foresight, patience, and resilience remain essential. As the Yi-Jing reminds us, Jing Zeming, in calmness there is clarity. Investors who approach these shifts with awareness of both risk and reward will be well positioned to navigate the unfolding financial landscape with both empathy and prudence. Our journey through mathematics and ancient wisdom reveals a profound truth: the power of balance and foresight. Covariance groups preserve relationships amidst transformation, guiding us towards harmony and success. From vectors in algebra to human relationships, balance and foresight are key for stability and growth. How could upcoming policies shape the investment landscape? Change is inevitable, a fundamental truth woven into the fabric of existence. Yet, amidst this constant flux, we yearn for stability, for a sense of order and continuity. Covariance groups, in their elegant mathematical way, offer a powerful metaphor for this delicate dance between embracing change and preserving harmony. Just as these mathematical structures ensure that essential relationships remain intact even as individual elements undergo transformations, so too can we navigate the ever-changing landscape of our lives by holding fast to core values, nurturing meaningful connections, and approaching challenges with a spirit of adaptability and resilience. Thank you all for sticking around until the end of this episode. Let's be honest, making videos isn't exactly a walk in the park. It's more like a marathon with coffee breaks and the occasional tech meltdown. But it's your support, encouragement, and yes, even your comments, the good, the bad, and the constructive, that keep us going. So, if today's video brought you even a smidgen of insight or a single aha moment, do us a favor and hit that like button. Trust me, it'll save you time when you're frantically trying to find this video again in the future. Plus, it gives us that warm, fuzzy feeling and the drive to keep creating quality content that just might spark a few more aha moments for you. Thank you for watching. Here's to us all pushing toward a brighter, better tomorrow. Much appreciated, truly.